Have you ever felt like love always finds a way to break your heart? No matter how true your intentions are? Like no matter how much you give, how deeply you care, or how purely you show up, something still goes wrong. People disappear, promises fade, and you're left wondering if there's something wrong with you. But deep inside, there's also a quiet voice, a feeling that maybe this isn't all just pain. Maybe there's something more going on. Maybe there's a reason your soul feels so different, so awake, so sensitive in a world that often seems blind to what you see and feel. You've probably known for a long time that you're not like everyone else. You feel things deeply. You see things others don't. You notice energy shifts, patterns in people, changes in tone. Even when nothing is said, you walk into a room and feel if something is off. Someone can smile at you, say all the right things, but your heart whispers, "This isn't real." You might not know why. You might not have proof, but the feeling is there. And that feeling is not a flaw. It's a gift. Still, it doesn't always feel like a gift, does it? Sometimes it feels like a burden. Because while others move through relationships with ease, your heart always seems to get caught in places it doesn't belong. You love deeply. You give purely. You show up fully. And still, people leave. Still, you get betrayed. Still, you're left wondering why love hurts more than it heals. But what if it's not because something is wrong with you? What if it's because something sacred is being protected inside you? What if it's not rejection, but divine protection? If you're someone who was chosen for a higher purpose, someone whose soul carries a calling even when you don't have the words for it yet, your life won't look like anyone else's. You're not here to blend in. You're not here to follow the crowd. You're not here to settle for half-true love or surface-level peace. You're here to be guided, protected, shaped into someone who walks with wisdom, not just hope. And when you're chosen, you don't just receive blessings. You also receive divine filtering. People who don't carry the right spirit will fall away. Things that seem perfect on the outside but don't align with your truth will be stripped away, not to hurt you, but to keep you from wasting your life in the wrong story. It's why people you loved suddenly disappeared, why certain relationships never lasted, no matter how hard you tried, why opportunities that looked perfect kept falling apart. You blamed yourself. You wondered what was wrong with you. But the truth is, those endings were not punishments. They were protection. That person leaving was heaven stepping in. That door closing was God blocking what your heart couldn't yet see. And if you're reading these words right now, it's not by chance. It's because your spirit is finally ready to understand what your heart has been aching to know. You were never being rejected. You were being redirected. The pain, the silence, the unanswered prayers, it all had a purpose. And maybe for the first time, you're beginning to see the pattern. Every time you ignored that uncomfortable feeling in your chest, things went wrong. Every time you talked yourself into staying when something felt off, you ended up hurt. And every time you listened to that quiet voice inside, you were protected. Even if you didn't understand it in the moment. That voice is discernment. That feeling is spiritual guidance. That strange unease, that's not anxiety. That's God whispering, not here, not this. And yes, you've learned most of these lessons the hard way, through heartbreak, through betrayal, through people who said all the right words but couldn't stay true, through situations where you gave all your light to people who only wanted to stand in your glow but not hold your heart. You've cried over people who couldn't see your value. You've begged God to help you understand why they left. But now you're starting to realize they didn't leave because you weren't enough. They left because your soul was being spared. When you're chosen, you can't settle, not even when you want to. That's why every time you've tried to say, "This is good enough," something in your life breaks. That person ghosts you. That plan collapses. That opportunity slips through your fingers. And you sit there in confusion, asking why. Why now? Why again? But look closer. It wasn't falling apart. It was falling into alignment. God saw you about to lower your worth just to feel loved. And because He loves you too deeply, He said no. He shut the door. He pulled you out, not to make you suffer, but to protect your destiny from something that could never carry the weight of your spirit. And yes, it hurt. Yes, you felt alone. But that isolation wasn't punishment. It was a sacred pause, a moment to return to yourself, to remember that your worth isn't based on who chooses you. It's based on how deeply you choose yourself. In the silence, you met the real you, the one who doesn't beg for crumbs, the one who doesn't shrink to fit in, the one who walks away when their soul is no longer safe, the one who can stand alone in peace instead of staying in fake love out of fear. And something else started happening too. You began to notice signs. Dreams that felt too real to ignore. Numbers repeating. 111, 444, 777. People saying words that answered thoughts you'd never said out loud. Waking up with heaviness after seeing someone in your dream. Feeling drained around certain people for no reason. These were not just coincidences. These were messages, warnings, confirmations. God speaking directly to your soul, bypassing your mind, because you've reached a point where you no longer live by logic alone. You live by truth, by alignment, by energy, by peace. When others only look at appearances, you feel the truth. You know when something isn't right. You know when someone is hiding behind charm. You know when a smile has shadows behind it. You see past the surface. And sometimes that makes life lonelier. But it also makes it safer, because you no longer fall for what glitters. You wait for what's real. You don't chase love. You attract it. You don't beg to be chosen. You choose yourself. And in that choosing, something powerful happens. You become whole, not perfect, not unbreakable, but whole. And fake love can't survive in wholeness. It can't feed off of someone who no longer needs to be needed. It can't hook into someone who's not afraid to be alone. You stop attracting people who want to use you. You stop letting people drain you just because you want to be loved. Your boundaries become stronger. Your peace becomes sacred. Your spirit becomes quiet, calm, and clear. And even when love shows up again, you don't let it in unless it matches the love you've given yourself. Because now you know you are not hard to love. You are just loving in places that could never love you back. You are not too much. You are just offering depth to people who only wanted surface. You are not broken. You are chosen. And chosen ones are protected, not punished. Refined, not ruined. set apart, not cast aside. So if this message is reaching you at just the right moment, if you feel tears rising or a softness blooming in your chest, know this. This is your confirmation. You are not crazy. You are not lost. You are not being left behind. You are being set apart for a love that is real, for a calling that is sacred, for a peace that no one can take away. Everything that left you, everything that hurt you, everything that made you question your worth, it was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to shape you, to strengthen your spirit, to teach you what is not love so you'll recognize the real thing when it finally arrives. And it will arrive, not in chaos, not in confusion, but in peace. It will feel like ease, not effort, like home, not survival, like truth, not guessing. And when it does, you'll smile, not because it fixed you, but because it met you whole. So trust the silence, trust the signs, trust the way things fall apart before they come together. Trust yourself, and most of all, trust that what's meant for you will always arrive when your heart is truly ready, not when you're desperate, but when you're healed. You're not the same person you used to be. You've changed. You've grown in ways that are deep, quiet, and powerful. You're no longer someone who can be controlled through guilt, flattery, or fear. You've stopped being a magnet for manipulation because now you know your worth. You respect yourself. You listen to your intuition. You don't settle for attention that costs you your peace. You don't lower your standards just to be loved by people who don't know how to love deeply or honestly. You've learned how to protect yourself with your own truth. You're covered, not by the approval of others, but by the quiet, unshakable peace that comes from living in alignment with your soul. And no, that's not loneliness. That's freedom. That's emotional power. It's called sovereignty. It's what happens when your heart no longer depends on being chosen by others to feel whole. It's what happens when you realize you were always enough, even when the world tried to make you forget. Maybe your love life didn't move the way others did. Maybe you looked around and saw friends falling in love, getting married, starting families, going through relationships that seemed full of excitement and attention. And there you were, waiting, growing, healing, learning. You watched people experience love, breakups, reconnections, and part of you wondered, why not me? Why is love passing me by? Why does everyone else seem to get their story sooner, faster, louder? But what you didn't know back then was that your delay was never about being unworthy. It was about being chosen for something deeper. God didn't forget you. He was preparing you. Because the kind of love you're meant for isn't ordinary. It's not small. It's not built on shallow promises and temporary feelings. You can't be partnered with just anyone. Your calling is too important. Your mission is too big. The wrong relationship could have slowed you down or even broken you. So God held you back, not to punish you, but to protect your soul. You were being kept for something sacred. You had to grow strong enough to know what love is and what it isn't. You had to outgrow manipulation. You had to learn how to recognize peace over passion. You had to become the kind of person who doesn't fall for charm, but waits for truth. And when that person arrives, the one who matches your spirit, who brings peace instead of anxiety, who makes you feel more like yourself and not less, you'll know. You won't have to chase them, convince them, or lose yourself to keep them. They'll walk into your life with a calm that feels like home. And you'll finally understand why it had to take this long. One of the hardest but most beautiful ways you've been protected is by seeing the truth in people faster than most. When others are blinded by charm, you're the one who notices the little things, the way someone talks to others, the way their energy shifts when they don't get their way, the cracks in the mask. You've seen the contradictions, heard the small lies, felt the uneasiness in your chest when someone's words didn't match their spirit. And maybe it confused you at first. Maybe you wanted to believe the best, to give the benefit of the doubt, to hope that love could grow if you just held on. But God showed you the truth early, not to break your heart, but to protect it. You were shown the signs in days or weeks that others don't see for years. And when the mask slipped and the truth came out, it hurt, but it also saved you. You didn't waste years building a life with someone who was never real with you. You didn't lose yourself in a dream that would have ended in heartbreak later. That sting you felt was sacred. It was divine timing. It was exposure wrapped in mercy. God sped things up for you so you wouldn't be trapped in something that was never meant to last. There's another reason love couldn't find you easily. Your life is too full of purpose. You're not here just to survive. You're here to build, to speak, to heal, to rise, to guide others, to change the atmosphere when you walk into a room. Your soul was born with a mission, and missions require focus. God surrounded you with responsibilities and ideas and dreams and visions because distraction is dangerous for you. You can't afford to be drained by people who only want access to your energy, but don't honor your heart. Fake love looks for empty spaces to fill, but you're not empty. You're full of light. You're full of fire. And every time you tried to settle for less, every time you almost gave your heart to someone who didn't know what to do with it, your calling pulled you back. That voice inside whispered, "This is not your home. You can't stay here." You were meant for more. You were kept busy with things that mattered because you were never meant to get comfortable with things that don't. Your life has been too full of meaning for anything fake to take root. Love couldn't come through the wrong door. It had to be sent through the right one. You may not have realized this, but you are a mirror. When people are around you, they see parts of themselves they usually hide. Just by being real, just by being kind, honest, grounded, authentic, you reflect their truth back to them. And sometimes, they don't like what they see. You've probably noticed how some people seem to change around you. One day they're warm, the next day they're distant. They pull you in, then push you away. You're left wondering, did I do something wrong? But you didn't. You just triggered something in them. Your light made them aware of their shadows. Your presence made them feel what they were running from. And instead of facing it, they ran from you. They blamed you. They left. And it hurt. It made you question yourself. But now you know. They weren't rejecting you. They were rejecting the parts of themselves they didn't want to face. You weren't the problem. You were the mirror. And when someone can't handle that light, it's not your job to dim it. It's your job to keep shining. So if you've been asking, why does love always leave? Maybe that's not the right question. Maybe it's not about being left. Maybe it's about being protected. Maybe every person who walked away was actually being removed. Maybe those painful goodbyes were sacred redirections. You weren't being abandoned. You were being guided. You were being shielded. Not from love itself, but from the kind of love that would have crushed you, distracted you, confused you, or destroyed the purpose inside you. God never said no to love. He just said, not like this. Not with them. Not now. He's not keeping it from you. He's saving it for the right time, the right person, the right connection. A love that matches your truth, honors your soul, and walks beside your purpose, not against it. Until that moment comes, love yourself harder than you ever have. Pour into your growth. Protect your peace. Stay soft, but never small. Let your heart stay open, but guard it with wisdom. Walk with dignity. Don't chase. Don't beg. Don't lower yourself to keep anyone close. The love that's meant for you won't play games. It won't confuse you. It won't come wrapped in charm, but empty in truth. The real thing is calm, kind, consistent, honest, and it's coming. Your time is coming. Your person is coming. And the fake ones will never get another chance to touch your heart. You've waited long enough. The love you deserve is on its way. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being real. And thank you for choosing to believe in more.